Okay, y'all. So let's talk about some more of the madness from the Diddy parties. Okay. My God, the issues. All right, the issues. Having issues right now. Bear with me. All right. So, first of all, let's go into his childhood, and I'll talk to you about that. Then I'll talk to you about the interview that Michael, is it Francese? I think I can't think of his name right now. But Michael used to be in the mafia, and he's turned his life around, and he's just a much better person now, and he's trying to right the wrongs that he's done. And he did an interview with one of the bodyguards that was at one of Diddy's parties. And I forget the guy's name. I'm not really great at all that. Sorry. But I'll show you. I'll try to remember to put the video in the description in case you want to watch it. But Michael interviewed him. Big something. I forget his name. Anyway, uh, Michael said this guy is. He says I can read people, and this guy is so legit. He is super legit. I know how to read, body language and everything, and I could read if a person's, kind of. There's so many words or less he can tell if someone's yanking his chain. And he felt that the dude he was interviewing was legit, and he has no reason to lie. He was at the Diddy party. He owns a security company, and he protects women. He prefers to protect women. He's a bodyguard, and he said women are easier to protect than men. I'm not really sure why, but he's super intelligent, super on the ball, knows a lot of details that my mind was shook. I'm like, what? Wow. So as you know, this isn't a surprise to anybody. As you know, there's lots of drugs flowing in these parties, these Hollywood parties, flowing like Niagara Falls, okay? It was a well-known fact that some bottles of alcohol, you don't touch those because those are for people that are going to be basically drugged. That alcohol was drugged. It was laced with drugs. And Jamie Foxx was at one of those parties. He was close with Diddy. And he asked his partner, I guess his homeboy or whatever, for an Advil, which came indirectly from Diddy. He took it, and he didn't wake up for 22 days. He was in a coma. Absolute madness. So Rutherland was at the parties. Nobody's surprised by that. Also known as roofies. Scopolamine was also a drug that was at the parties. Scopolamine makes you compliant, and you will do everything that you were told to do. You will not argue. You will be extremely compliant. So obviously that is ideal for people who are going to take advantage of you, obviously. And it will also cause permanent neurological damage as a result of use. I'm sure you guys heard of all the baby bottles, the baby oil bottles. In case you don't know, the largest organ on your body is your skin. And a lot of those baby oils were laced with liquid GHB. So if he squirted it on you, or any of those people there squirted it on you, you'd be done for a while, a good while. you'd be unconscious, you'd be out of it. And, they do whatever they want to do to you. Never even heard of liquid GHB. It causes a low heart rate to where people think you are sleeping or you're dead, but you aren't. 2C is another drug, and all of this will be talked about in the video that I'm going to post in the description. 2C is ketamine, ecstasy, and cocaine mixed, and it's also dyed pink. If you ever saw where they did a raid on his house, on Diddy's house, you will see pink stuff everywhere. That's the 2C. And like I said, it is ketamine, ecstasy, and cocaine mixed, and it's dyed pink. Now, remember we talked about the other day how men are, sexual opportunists, and there's a fine line between a high sex drive and a predator. A very, very fine line. Okay? Bodyguard says anyone who has been doing ecstasy for 2 or 3 years becomes a sexual deviant. I'm going to let that sink in. Anybody who's been using ecstasy for 2 or 3 years becomes a sexual deviant. He said he's seen it with his own eyes. Upstanding, decent guys turn into wild animals as a result of that drug. Another drug that was there at the parties was cyanide. Ingestion of cyanide after so many doses can cause pneumonia. Kim Porter was Diddy's wife and the mother of his twin girls. She died of pneumonia. The bodyguard that you'll see in the interview, he's had pneumonia 3 times. When investigators checked out the inside of his car, or I don't know if it was the outside handles or inside handle, but they found traces of cyanide. He's had pneumonia 3 times. He's aware of hits being put on him because if you're in this toxic environment and you trying to be the good guy, well, that automatically makes you an enemy. Also, another bodyguard of Diddy's died of pneumonia. They found cyanide on the handles of his vehicle, the bodyguard, when the cops checked out his vehicle. And he doesn't take cyanide, so somebody had it out for him. Another person, and I told you this before, be careful who you worship, be careful who you idolize, because you may not know that person like you think you do. God knows I've learned that the hard way. Barry, who used to be the so-called president, and he's originally from Kenya, born in Kenya, so how he got to be a president here is beyond me, but anyway, we call him Barry. Barry was also sexually involved with Diddy at one point. Did I or did I not tell you that his so-called wife is not a woman? Everybody done told y'all that. Okay? I always knew that person looked odd. Okay? I didn't know why, but I just thought that's a strange looking woman. You know why? Because it's not a woman. That's Michael Robinson. Okay? That's Michael Robinson. And while he's sitting here portraying that politicians are pathological liars anyway, so nobody's surprised that he portrayed himself to be married to a woman, and he's got the great old American family going on, and all of it was a bogus lie. And those girls are not. They're biological girls. Obviously, men cannot have children by themselves. And I saw the girls' original parents. You can see pictures of them online. And the mother, the actual, they look identical to their parents, their actual parents, not the ones that were pretending to be their parents. One of the girls, the younger girl, looks just like her mom. Her mom is a doctor in Chicago. She's a physician in Chicago. I don't know what the dad does, the biological dad. These are the real parents. The dad, the other girl looks identical to the dad. But that was a massive lie. Massive lie. Oh, this is my wife, Michelle, and these are the girls. And multiple people online said, well, how come we never seen any pictures of Michelle pregnant? Well, because men can't get pregnant. Anyway, move right along. So, yeah, Jamie Foxx was poisoned. He asked his partner for an Advil, and he woke up 22 days later. He knows that Sean was responsible, Diddy was responsible for putting him in a coma. Also, and some of y'all may know this, I didn't know who was involved in Tupac's death, but it is known that Diddy was involved with Tupac's death. Tupac was shot multiple times before he was actually murdered, and he had recovered. He had been in a wheelchair for a while and stuff like that. And when they didn't complete the job, they eventually came back and completed the job until he was out of here. Disgusting. And Barry, what's the name? Well, let me go back. Well, Barry and Diddy have a lot in common because they both had people gotten rid of, if you know what I mean. Both of them have done that. So, and they're both, you know, hop on both sides of the fence. Well, Barry's strictly gay. I believe it was his brother that said publicly that he's always been gay. Okay. He ain't no more straight than a $3 bill, which I don't really care about that. But don't perpetrate that you're straight and you're married to a woman when you know damn well you ain't. You son of a bitch. And persuaded how many people to change who they are? And all these people all of a sudden out of nowhere decide they want to no longer be who they were born as. That's called brainwashing. And so many people fell for it. And when you try to bring the truth to folks, they get mad at you. But if they would calm their nerves and stop getting hysterical, they would realize that you don't see something wrong with, stop and think. Check your emotions and stop and think for a second. Never, ever, ever in the history of the United States of America have we had people changing their gender, almost every other person doing that. We ain't never had that until Barry was in office and until Dickhead was in office after him. Okay? And all of a sudden, they persuaded people to do that, and they started making they used the media to brainwash people. They used the media and social, social platforms. They use whatever means they can to persuade people to do something that they normally would never do. And they know that people are easily swayed, easily brainwashed. So what do? They brainwash them. And they use the school, high school and elementary school and college. All of those are union. And they push their agenda through the union. I've talked to you guys about that before. It's just disgusting what has been done to this country. Absolutely disgusting. Now, people can live in a fantasy world. They can, believe that, balloons are in the air 24/7 and flowers bloom all year round, even in the dead of winter. You can believe whatever the hell you want to believe, but the truth is still the truth, and it's always going to be the truth. And if you do some research, you will see. You will even see, if you do research, you will see actual pictures of Michael as a man. Because Michael is a man. I always knew that person looked weird, and I couldn't figure it out. Well, there you go. There's your answer. Okay? I think it's shocking and alarming, the crap that was done to people here in this country, that you were persuaded to go under the knife. And let me tell you something else, honey bunny. I've always been a girly girl and a tomboy. I'm a combination of the two. Okay? I could either be super girly or I could be a tomboy. That's just who I am. I grew up with boys. Do you know, because the brainwash was in full swing, my teachers would have been told by you-know-who, persuaded me to be a boy, because that's what they were doing to girls. If you were into sports, they would say, well, don't you think you might be a boy? you're into a lot of sports, and that's usually a boy thing. You ever consider, they were basically brainwashing the children, and when the parents found out about the dirty shit that was going on and the child pornography that was distributed in the children's libraries, oh, we gonna go there today. When the parents would go off, and we're gonna be, I'm just gonna give you an example of the type of books that were in that are in the children's libraries, which is, like I said, distribution of child pornography, which is a felony, I'm pretty sure. Okay, but yet your schools are, you know, being they're pushing the kids into a weird, creepy, hypersexual agenda. If you don't believe me, look for clips of Senator Kennedy, because he reads. They've taken these people to court. I guess the school boards took them to court, or took certain individuals to court, or whatever. And he read from the book. Senator Kennedy did. He read from the book, one of the books, and it will make a escort blush. The type of language that was used. Okay, like, how many dicks have you sucked today? I really like sucking dick. And, if have you ever had a male lover? When you're a male, have you ever, talking to a male, would you ever consider having a male lover? I was totally shocked. Senator Kennedy read from those nasty books, and this is the type of shit that's being pushed on your children. If you think I'm lying, research it. For people that are staying in a bubble, research, and it's right in front of your face. Look here. If you don't know nothing about me, one thing you need to know, I don't say anything out of my ass. I don't. I research it, and I know what I'm talking about. If I'm not sure, or I have some of the facts, but I need to clarify the other facts, I have no problem doing that before I give this information to anybody, because I never want to be responsible for dishing out false information. I'm a stickler for the truth, and if people don't want to believe it, that's on them. But come on, you know, people in power are the dirtiest, shadiest, most emotionally bankrupt people there are. Thank God for Senator Hawley. Thank God for Senator Kennedy. Thank God for, there's others that have been super wonderful, and they're in the government, and they're fighting for us to go back to how things used to be before everybody was pushed to change who they were, and we're going to hypersexualize your children and take them to drag shows behind the parents' consent. And what I was going to say about the parents were labeled at one point. If they, first of all, you got parents in the meetings, okay? The board meetings. And they would get angry because they don't want their children hypersexualized. They don't want their brains screwed, okay? They don't want their children learning about pornography, and they have every right to be angry. I mean, come on. And they're like, and I don't appreciate this crap, and this, what the hell, and this and that. You need to watch your language. Excuse you? You teaching these kids pornography and using adult pornographic language, and you have the balls. Yes, I said balls. You've got the balls to tell these parents to watch we don't talk like that. We don't use that language. No. We don't use that language, but we ask children, or we put in a children's book, how many dicks have you sucked lately? That's appropriate. But angry parents, now that's not appropriate. If you don't believe me on that, research that, and you'll find it on YouTube or even Google or wherever. You will see where this is a thing. It happens everywhere. Everything that I'm saying can be researched. I don't pull shit out of my ass, and I don't brainwash people, because it's just the wrong thing to do. You just don't do that. But when you have power and you know how weak people are, and you know they don't have a spinal cord, that their spine is made of cotton and they're easily swayed, when you're evil, you're going to sway people's brain and you're going to mess with them because you know you can and you know it's easy. But you know, every single thing they've ever done will come back and bite them on the ass. Everything evil that they've ever done. Karma knows everybody's name and everybody's address. Okay? Okay? So, there's that. But I saw this video today and I'm like, oh my God, I've got to tell you all about it. So obviously with all these drugs and also these are so many charges, the liquid GHB and quite a bit of those baby oil things, bottles, you know, possession, God only knows how many counts of possession of drugs. Federal charges brought because of, you know, flying in people from other states for the purpose of sex. That's federal offenses. Having people cross state lines. I mean, he has so many charges on him, it's not funny. And Michael, which you will see in the video, I'm trying not to say too much, but I said a lot. But I'm just saying, the video, there's a possibility he will never get out. Diddy will never get out. There's a possibility they will Epstein him. Epstein him. Because guess what? Oh yeah. Whenever Epstein was in prison or in jail or whatever, all the cameras in the facility were conveniently not working that day. Yeah. How convenient. So, anyway, I thought I'd share with you guys. That boy's going down. It's been a long road. He's been needing to get in trouble with the law for how many years now, and it finally bit him on the ass, all the dirt he's done. Diddy has also sexually taken advantage of children, one of whom was 9 years old. You're not going to see that in a video, but I saw it in another video. He sexually was involved with Justin Bieber, Usher. He was involved with Usher too. He was involved with another guy who was a young dude trying to break into the industry. And Diddy had him meet with him privately in another room. Diddy's a demon, okay? So him and Barry being friends, ain't nobody surprised by that. If you're living in the real world, you're not surprised that two demons are friends. Like Barry. Anyway, and his husband, Michael. Anyway, so he took the guy who was trying to break into the industry. He said, let's go into another room. It'll be more private. And he had the dude, young teenager, he had him pull his pants down. And dude was like, and he started touching his, man bits. And I guess he protested, like, what's going on? What's going on? And Diddy said, hey, you trying to break into the industry, right? So he's a pedophile in addition to hopping on either side of the fence. Oh, let me tell you something else about his parents. Okay, Diddy's parents. This is where it all started. And the drugs, I'm sure, made it 1,000 times worse. His mother, let's see. His dad was a drug dealer, and he was involved in a drug deal that went bad, and as a result of that, he was murdered when Diddy was a kid. He was little. And then his mother was doing everything she could to make ends meet, and then she got to the point where she started turning tricks, and she brought those Johns to the house, and she made her son watch while she was getting done by the Johns. So, obviously, he's seen his mom, men and women, naked bodies. Basically, live porn. I saw an interview with Diddy and his mom, and they kissed on the lips, like a couple would. And my wheels started turning. My brain was like, Okay, you got your kid looking at your naked body. Your boobs are jiggling while someone's banging you. You're showing all this to a child. You're kissing him on the lips like y'all are a couple. And then I realized that his hypersexuality, aside from the drugs that he did later, okay, and maybe did as a kid, who knows? I guarantee you he has been sexual with his mother, and I guarantee you he was broken in by one of those Johns, maybe multiple Johns, because he likes both men and women. And he was introduced to live pornography right in front of his face. And then you wonder, and I'm not excusing anything he's done, drugging people, taking advantage of them, beating them. He almost dropped somebody off a 17-foot, balcony. He shot a woman in her face. He's responsible for people dying. He's a demon. He's a god dang freaking demon. But he had an early start at being a demon because of his fucked up parents. I saw that in a documentary. And I'm like, well, damn, that explains a lot. That explains a lot. If you have on-the-job training to be a wackadoo and then you turn into a wackadoo, is anybody surprised? No. You had on-the-job training. Come on now. It doesn't excuse anything he's done, but you definitely get a feel for how it started. All right, you guys, much love. Talk to you later. Bye.